They say one man's trash is another man's treasure. But what if your next garden masterpiece is already sitting in your recycling bin? Welcome to Backyard Fortune, where we turn scraps into something stunning. In today's video, you'll discover over 10 creative garden border ideas made entirely from discarded materials, proof that beauty doesn't have to be bought. These aren't just borders, they're stories waiting to be planted in your backyard. Use the timestamps below to jump to your favorite styles, and if something sparks your imagination, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you're dreaming up. One shimmering perfume bottle garden border. Sometimes, the most unforgettable beauty in a garden doesn't bloom from a seed. It rises from something broken, something forgotten. In a quiet backyard kissed by sunlight, tiny shards of color begin to tell their story. These aren't expensive tiles or designer materials. They are fragments of old perfume bottles, pieces of sea glass, and broken household glassware that once sat unused at the back of a cabinet. Now, reborn with purpose, they form one of the most enchanting garden borders you'll ever see. The mosaic curves gently, like the edge of a fairy trail. Green, sapphire blue, frosted white, and amber shimmer beneath the sun. Every piece catches the light differently. Some glint sharply, others glow softly like moonlight on dew. These aren't just decorative, they dance, they whisper, they glow with soul. Each jagged edge holds a past. Perhaps a perfume bottle once held a favorite scent from a special day. Or a sea glass fragment drifted ashore after a long journey. But together, they speak a new language, a celebration of color, texture, and memory. This project may look intricate, but don't be intimidated. All you need is a handful of broken glass or bottles, some concrete or mortar mix, and a sense of curiosity. You can sketch a pattern or just follow your intuition. No piece is too odd, no shape too imperfect. In fact, the imperfections are what make it magical. Place your mosaic border along a flower bed or path. Let the marigolds lean in close, the daisies reflect in the glass. And as the sun shifts, you'll see how each moment brings a different glow. Sometimes soft, sometimes bold, always surprising. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't only about creating a garden edge. It's about remembering that what we discard isn't always lost. With a little care, even broken things can become light again, guiding, reflecting, and turning a patch of soil into a place that feels truly alive. So next time you consider tossing out that cracked bottle or chipped jar, stop. Imagine it catching sunlight in your garden. Imagine it glowing beside a blooming cosmos, or dancing in the breeze beside butterflies. Because beauty doesn't begin with perfection, it begins with intention. Two, seashell and recycled bead fairy border. Not every garden needs grand gestures or sculpted stone to feel magical. Sometimes, all it takes is a few seashells, a handful of forgotten beads, and the gentle rhythm of hands creating something with love. Along the edge of a tiny flower bed, a string of scalloped shells sways softly in the breeze, each one kissed by sunlight and memory. Nestled between the petals of cheerful daisies and marigolds, they sparkle, not with the polish of perfection, but with the quiet pride of being chosen, of being seen. These shells were once souvenirs of the sea, smoothed by tides, collected in pockets, and nearly forgotten in jars by the window. Now, they return to the earth as protectors of beauty. In between them, colorful recycled beads glimmer like drops of morning dew, crimson, violet, topaz, and aquamarine. Their colors play against the green of the garden and dance beneath the wings of butterflies. Further along, a pathway glistens. Pale pink and soft ivory shells are set against a river of silver beads and metallic chains, remnants of old costume jewelry, once glamorous, now grounded. There's something poetic about how it lies there, low to the earth, catching light in unexpected places. It feels ceremonial, like a necklace laid at the feet of wild violets. And then, in a quiet corner, a perfect square. A frame of seashells bound by wire and glass marbles encircles a plot of dark soil and possibility. Inside, glints of translucent green, cobalt, and amber peek from the earth like treasure half buried, waiting. The beads shimmer, not with luxury, but with invitation, an open-ended question to imagine, to build, to play. These aren't just decorations. They are stories. Tiny sculptures built from the echoes of laughter, vacation walks, broken bracelets, and time-worn keepsakes. And here's the joy. This idea doesn't require money, only mindfulness. You don't need to be a sculptor or even a gardener. You only need to look around. Save those beads from an old keychain. Collect shells from a beach trip or even a craft bin. String them, place them, let them guide your fingers the way waves guide the shore. The result is not just a border. It's a charm, a spell whispered into your garden's edge. It's a reminder that even the smallest, most ordinary things can shine when given a second chance. So when you walk through your garden and hear the soft clink of shell against shell, or see the light caught in a recycled gem, know that you've done more than decorate. You've turned scraps into poetry. You've made beauty by hand, and the earth, the flowers, and even the wind will thank you for it. Three, upcycled wine bottle light border. As the sky deepens and the last traces of daylight melt into twilight, the garden begins to hum with a quiet magic, the kind that doesn't come from loud colors or elaborate structures, but from the soft flicker of light held inside something once forgotten. Lining the pathway, old wine bottles now cradle glowing tea lights and fairy strands of illumination. Shades of green, blue, and amber glass filter the warm glow into soft halos that stretch across cobblestones and flowerbeds. The bottles themselves are mismatched, some tall and slender, others thick and weathered, but together they whisper a kind of unity that only reclaimed things know. There's something almost poetic in the way these lanterns lead the eye and the feet down the garden's edge. The path becomes not just a walkway, but a gentle procession of light, guiding you with warmth rather than direction. Between terracotta pots of blooming jasmine and pots of lavender reaching into the air, the glow dances, flickering with the breeze, glowing stronger as the night grows deeper. Elsewhere, under a pergola wrapped in silence and rosemary, repurposed bottles hang like glowing teardrops. The wax from the candles inside has begun to drip slowly, like time made visible. They sway slightly with the wind, not enough to shake the light, but just enough to remind you that this is a living place, not just built, but breathed into being. And then, in a quieter corner still, a line of bottles stands in solemn formation along a bed of soft soil. Some are filled with solar bulbs, others with real flame. None of them match. And that's exactly what makes them beautiful. These bottle lights are more than decoration. They are memory made useful. A celebration of evenings shared, dinners poured, and laughter once echoed. Now, their purpose has changed, but their value has deepened. You don't need expensive lights to make your garden glow. You don't need perfection to make something feel sacred. All it takes is an empty bottle, a bit of string light or a simple candle, and a willingness to see beauty in what others might discard. And as you sit in the stillness of your yard, watching those lights sparkle gently between petals and planters, you'll know you haven't just lit your path. You've illuminated the possibility of transformation. Because in the right hands, even the emptiest things can shine again. 4. Cracked mirror reflection edging. There's something quietly enchanting about broken things, especially when they find their way back into the garden. Along the edge of a flower bed, jagged mirror shards have been carefully placed into the soil, their fractured faces catching sunlight like scattered stardust. These aren't just borders, they're reflections of nature itself. A red tulip silhouette glows inside a sliver of mirror, mirrored back as if the garden is admiring itself. Each piece tells a story of imperfection turned into elegance. With a bit of courage and creativity, what was once discarded becomes the focal point. The cracks in the glass don't diminish its beauty, they refract light in ways that smooth surfaces never could. Morning rays bounce off the shards, painting the surrounding moss and soil with shimmering flecks of silver. The effect feels ethereal, like a secret spell has been cast across the garden bed. Just a few steps away, another path is lined with tall, upright mirrors, some lightly cracked, others clean, rising like thin crystals from a bed of gravel. Between them, creeping time weaves its way, softening the glint of the glass. Ferns stretch gently between the panels, their fronds brushing against glass like fingers searching for forgotten memories. As you walk past, your reflection dances between the foliage, becoming one with the border. This is more than decoration, it's immersive. It invites you in. And finally, further along, mosaic panels shimmer with afternoon gold. Pieces of old vanity mirrors and windshield fragments are arranged like ancient stained glass, framed between rustic wooden supports. The sunset hits just right, casting a dreamy haze over ornamental grasses swaying nearby. The whole fence glows, not with artificial lighting, but with soulful repurposing. It's as if nature and art reached across the table and shook hands. The beauty of these cracked mirror borders lies not in perfection but in presence. You don't need expensive materials or flawless symmetry. What you need is the willingness to see treasure in trash. A simple salvaged mirror. A broken panel from an old dresser. A windshield with a spiderweb crack. In the right light, with the right hands, they become magic. So, gather your fragments. Dust off the glass. Let sunlight and imagination do the rest. Your garden will thank you. And your soul just might, too. Five, vintage button patchwork fence. Here's a quiet kind of magic that lives in forgotten things. In the back of a small garden, somewhere between the fragrance of marigolds and the hum of bees, a wooden fence transforms. It no longer stands as a mere divider between spaces, but as a living canvas stitched with history. Hundreds of vintage buttons, some pearly and perfect, others cracked and faded, shimmer across its planks like constellations made by hand. They once held coats closed, adorned grandmothers' blouses, or kept a child's school uniform neat. And now, under soft afternoon sun, they gather again, not on fabric, but on weathered wood, their beauty reborn in unexpected form. This is the charm of a button border garden. A design that costs next to nothing, yet feels like a treasure chest open to the sky. No two buttons are alike, and that's where the story begins. Some are metal and ridged like coins from another time. Others are smooth and round like little moons. Arranged into swirling patterns or loose florals, they add rhythm and soul to otherwise bare fencing. Look closer and you'll find textures that catch the light just so, and in that light, a new dimension awakens. It's art, yes, but it's also memory. A quilt of the past stitched directly into the garden. In another corner of the yard, a new idea grows, panels of burlap stretched across the fence like rustic canvases. Upon them, buttons bloom into trees. Their trunks are crafted from green twine, their foliage made of mismatched circles, brown, navy, bone, and amber. They are stitched, glued, arranged with love, and left to bask beneath the lavender. Each tree feels like a child's joyful doodle brought to life with time-worn tools. And the backdrop, simple chicken wire, gently rusted, adds to the handmade beauty. You don't need a big garden to try this. A small strip of fencing, some salvaged buttons, scraps of burlap, and a bit of time is all it takes. The charm lies not in the perfection, but in the imperfection, the crackled surfaces, the fading edges, the way the light hits each one differently. There's also something deeply grounding about working with buttons. You sort, you choose, you place, and in doing so, you slow down. You connect with each little object and the story it carries. A cracked button isn't broken, it's beautiful. Weather-worn wood isn't outdated, it's full of soul. And finally, tucked at the base of the garden wall, there's a row of buttons pressed into a narrow ledge, forming a simple yet enchanting border. They sit side by side like little friends, some quiet and plain, others proud and detailed. Together, they create a visual rhythm that dances with the wood grain. Their presence is subtle, but when noticed, it stops you in your tracks. A soft reminder that even the smallest things can hold wonder. So, gather your old buttons. The ones left in tins, lost in drawers, picked off old coats. Dust them off. Let them tell their story again. Transform your garden, not with money, but with memory, time, and heart. Let your fence bloom in buttons. Let your garden whisper nostalgia. And let the borders you build remind us, nothing truly old is ever truly useless, it's just waiting for a new purpose under the sun. Six, seascape fence of discarded CDS. Have you ever stood in your garden and felt it could use a little sparkle, not from something bought in a store, but something whispered into life by your own hands? In today's video, we're diving into the shimmering, enchanted world of DIY garden borders made from something you might already have forgotten in a dusty drawer, old CDS. But don't let their past life fool you. These seemingly obsolete objects, once spinning stories on computers and stereos, are now reborn into waves of color and light, dancing between wildflowers and stone, catching the sun like morning dew on a mermaid's tail. Imagine standing before a fence that glows with iridescent mosaic waves, CDS broken into perfect imperfection, paired with smooth marbles and glimmering glass. The panels echo ocean tides, rippling in shades of aqua, indigo, and pearl. When sunlight strikes just right, these colors shimmer across the grass below, as if 1,000 tiny rainbows have kissed the ground. Daisies, snapdragons, and sun-loving blossoms lean in toward the glow, becoming part of the canvas. And just nearby, a lighter, more playful interpretation. Thin metal rods dance gently in the breeze, supporting curling waves of whole CDS and clear beads. It feels delicate, like a ribbon of sunlight weaving through the garden, bouncing light across succulents and agaves. It's as if you've captured a shoreline breeze and frozen it mid-laughter. Then we drift to a more rustic rhythm, wooden panels aged by time, decorated with whole and broken discs set among soft blue glass and sea pearls. Between the cracks, tufts of beach grass sway. Shells lay scattered below, as though dropped by a wandering tide. It's not just decoration, it's a feeling. A memory. A coastal dream stitched into reality by hands willing to turn trash into treasure. What's beautiful about this kind of project isn't only the end result. It's the way it invites you to see beauty in what's been cast aside. No longer junk, these CDS are transformed, cut, glued, reflected, into something that lives again. And practically speaking, it's easier than you think. CDS cut cleanly with sturdy scissors or garden shears. Use strong outdoor adhesive to secure them to wood, metal, or cement. Add marbles, shells, even colored glass from old bottles or chandeliers. Let your intuition lead. There are no rules, only light, shape, and the joy of watching something broken become beautiful again. Whether you have a large yard or a small patio, these DIY borders bring charm and artistry without cost. They reflect not only sunlight but creativity, resilience, and a gentle reminder, even the forgotten can glow again. So take a moment. Look around your home. What might be waiting for a second life in your garden? Let this be your sign to begin. Seven, colorful tin can garden frame. Sometimes, the most heartwarming garden ideas don't come from shiny catalogs or designer stores. They come from the forgotten corners of our homes. The back of a cupboard, where old biscuit tins gather dust, or from a kitchen drawer filled with floral tea tins that once held memories more than sweets. In this quiet little garden, something magical begins. Rows of old cookie and biscuit tins, some pastel, some floral, others bearing the charming scars of age, are lovingly transformed into garden borders. They line a path like storytellers, each tin a character, each flower a new verse. Some are painted in soft vintage hues, baby blue, pale pink, mellow yellow. They cradle herbs like basil and mint, with nasturtiums tumbling over the edges as if trying to escape the confines of their tin can homes to dance in the sun. Monarch butterflies flutter by, drawn by the fragrance, or maybe the spirit of something cared for and cherished. Elsewhere, close up, you'll find hand-painted roses adorning time-worn tins. A marigold bursts with golden energy beside the delicate spread of time. The combination of life and decay, of bloom and rust, feels like a page from a fairy tale, imperfect but deeply alive. Along a gently curving gravel path, old cookie tins form a playful border. Some are stacked like building blocks, others sit side by side in delightful disorder. They were never meant for the garden, and yet here they are, repurposed, proud, and full of charm. The tins don't just hold plants, they hold history, warmth, and whimsy. It's not just about recycling. It's about seeing beauty where others see waste. About transforming something disposable into something irreplaceable. And the best part? You can do it too. All you need are a few old tins, some potting soil, and the courage to imagine something different. Drill a few drainage holes in the bottom, choose your favorite herbs or cheerful flowers, and begin your own journey, one can at a time. You don't need a big yard. You don't even need perfect tins. All you need is a little patch of sunlight, a handful of patience, and a heart open to creativity. Because when we build with love and playfulness, even trash can turn into treasure, and our gardens become not just beautiful, but meaningful. Eight, whimsical childhood memory fence. In the heart of a quiet backyard, tucked beneath the golden haze of late afternoon sun, a wooden fence stands, not as a boundary, but as a bridge between worlds, the real and the remembered. Its surface tells a story, not through paint or poetry, but through puzzle pieces and time-worn toys. Gentle pastels, mint green, baby pink, sky blue, dance across its slats in the form of giant jigsaw pieces. They don't quite fit together, and they're not meant to. Like memories, they are fragments, soft and incomplete, inviting us to piece them together with our own imagination. Peeking between the gaps are tiny trucks, some chipped, others still gleaming with childlike boldness. Each one whispers stories of races run across garden paths, of summer days filled with laughter and skinned knees, of childhoods that moved too quickly into yesterday. And then, at the fence's feet, marigolds and daisies bloom like proud spectators. They don't mind the rusted cars or faded paint. They embrace them like nature always does, folding the past gently into the present. Elsewhere on the fence, toy figurines, missing arms, scratched faces, crooked smiles, stand proudly. Not forgotten, not broken. Just cherished differently now. Surrounding them are ivy vines, wildflowers, and handcrafted puzzle pieces that bring bursts of red, gold, and teal to the weathered wood. There's nothing pristine here, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. As you continue down the path, the scene shifts, and you find yourself smiling. Rubber dinosaurs grin beside kangaroos, a grey wolf stands watch next to a bright-eyed duck. It's an eclectic zoo of garden guardians, all standing tall atop the fence like sentinels from a bedtime tale. Below them, more puzzle pieces form a garland of chaos and charm, pinned imperfectly, but placed with love. This isn't just decor. It's storytelling. It's transformation. Here's a little secret. Everything you see here was once destined for the bin. Forgotten toys, puzzle pieces missing their mates, plastic animals without purpose. But with a little creativity and a deep respect for the magic of memory, they've become something more. So how do you make your own? Start small. Gather broken toys, old puzzles, discarded blocks from the attic or thrift store. Choose a wooden fence, or even an old pallet board. Use screws or heavy-duty glue to attach your pieces, spacing them out playfully, letting color and randomness guide you. Mix textures and tones. Let the imperfections speak. You're not building a display. You're building a feeling. And remember, you don't need to be a professional to create something meaningful. You just need to remember what made you smile as a child. And then, find a way to share it with the world, or with your garden. Because in a world that's constantly rushing forward, sometimes the most beautiful thing you can do is pause and look back. Welcome to the whimsical childhood memory fence, where nostalgia blooms and every piece has a place. Nine. Playful tennis ball garden border. When you step into this garden, something surprising captures your attention. Not grand marble statues or fancy trellises, but an array of old tennis balls dancing gently in the sunlight. Some are perched proudly on bamboo sticks, their once bright neon faded by time into soft hues of lime, pink, and baby blue. Floating just above a bed of gravel, they look like joyful spirits suspended mid-air, playfully guarding a narrow garden path. Basil and mint flank either side, their fragrance mingling with the morning breeze. There's a charm in the imperfection of it, the scuffed felt, the uneven spacing, the improvisational beauty of reuse. Elsewhere, the same tennis balls have been sliced in half and arranged like petals around a circular flower bed. They sit snugly in the soil, curving around a lively cluster of nasturtiums and pansies. The felt edges create a cushioned contrast to the rich dark earth, offering softness where one might expect rigidity. It's a gentle reminder that garden borders don't have to be cold or conventional. They can be warm, fuzzy, and full of personality. In another corner, a rainbow of tennis balls arcs around a vegetable patch. Each color, fiery red, sunshine orange, emerald green, ocean blue, adds a layer of joy to the earth-toned palette of the backyard. They lie half buried in the dirt, forming a low barrier that feels more like an invitation than a fence. Marigolds smile in the sun, and creeping time peeks curiously through the gaps, like children playing hide-and-seek. There's something deeply comforting about this idea. Maybe it's the nostalgia, these balls once chased across courts, now resting in peace, reborn with purpose. Maybe it's the simplicity, no tools needed, just imagination and a second chance. And that is the soul of this garden, where what once was play becomes peace. Where color finds its place not in competition, but in quiet creativity. A border, not just to divide, but to welcome. A recycled idea that tells a new story every time you walk by. So, before you throw away that old can of tennis balls, ask yourself, what kind of garden could they become? (10) Driftwood and rustic rope garden edge. Sometimes, the most beautiful garden borders don't come from a hardware store. They drift ashore with stories in their grain and knots in their memory. Here, in a peaceful corner of a backyard, the garden is outlined not with manufactured stone or rigid metal, but with pieces of forgotten driftwood and strands of rustic rope. Each log seems to have floated from a distant place, sun-bleached and softened by years of sea and wind. Bound together by thick, natural rope, frayed and golden in the afternoon sun, these posts feel more like guardians than barriers. They don't divide space, they define it gently. The ropes wind and dip, hugging each wooden piece like old friends. Their texture is coarse yet inviting, and their imperfections, splits, knots, moss, and fibers speak of resilience and time. You can almost feel the salt in the air and the warmth of the sand they once touched. Nestled around them, thyme and oregano burst with life, softening the edges with their scent and spread. It's not just a fence, it's a memory made solid. A place where herbs flourish beside a rope that once might have held a sail or secured a crate on a quiet dock. The juxtaposition of strong wood and delicate greens is grounding, making the space feel alive and lived in, like nature and craftsmanship shook hands and agreed on peace. There's something meditative about the way the shadows fall here. Light filters through pergola beams above, dappling the posts and earth below, inviting the eye to slow down and wander. It's a reminder that gardens don't need to be perfect to be profound, they only need to be honest. If you're ever unsure how to edge your garden, look around not for what's new, but for what's near, a piece of driftwood, a coil of forgotten rope, an old board weathered just right. Let your hands guide the knot, let the plants grow between the grains, and trust that even the most humble material can create something deeply magical. This isn't just a garden border. It's a love letter to slowness, to reuse, to the joy of doing things your own way. And perhaps, as time creeps forward and daisies peek through the gaps, it will remind you too that the best things in life are often grown, found, or made with care. Thanks for joining us on this creative journey through the world of garden borders, reimagined. If any of these ideas inspired you, give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more weekly DIY magic, and don't forget to share this video with someone who loves turning trash into treasure. Until next time, keep growing beauty from the unexpected.